Start streaming. All right, there we go. So it's just being flaky. I have no idea, but I'm not seeing anything either. There we go, right? Back. Mood did not improve. So what happened, right? It just felt nasty. It wasn't enjoyable. But I don't think I'm gonna get like the full disaster output of it unless I did it for like a few days. So right now in my current state, I'm not doing well with the counting of my calories. I'm basically just eating things I've eaten in the past. Like for lunch now, I just had scrambled eggs. There's no to fix this. There's like this. I don't have the energy to really deal with the food thing. I'm giving myself a couple of days till to this weekend. Basically, after this weekend, I'm kind of expecting things to be back to normal again. It's just like a lot of things just happen at once that completely threw me, and I had all these grand plans of things I was gonna do. I was gonna work on the video, doing more so worked on the animation stuff and all that stuff. I was gonna look into what do you call them? All right. Oh god, there's like a transition. I can't remember the name of it, but I was like looking at that as well, and like, oh, we're gonna do a lot of things, and then everything kind of just collapsed at once. Everything happened at once, and it's a recovery. I don't think we are that far. We're on 18,000, getting close to 19 pi. Getting close to 19, but I just deleted some code. I might delete some more code. So we'll see. Hello, Batman. How you going? Yeah, get out of my head, shall I? So we can get things done. Oh no, it's closer to 100,000 lines of code written for this project in total, but I have thrown so much code away. I've thrown permutations of it away and everything. So what's left after all the versions and everything is 17,000 lines of code. No, I've been working on this for over a year, though. I think we're close to 2 years. I think like the first version of this is tiny bit. Almost 3 years ago since I wrote this, which is no longer in use. This is very far from where we started. No, not at all. Quite the opposite. When you're building something using the knowledge that you have, you'll do a little bit of research in the process, but I don't learn while I'm working on a large project. In terms of it makes you more aware of it. It teaches you the lessons you learn when you write software for a long period of time. But I already have a lot of that from my career as an idiot. So this project hasn't really taught me. I can't point to anything specific and say, you know, actually, that's not true. It has taught me about a little bit of data structure and organization of code, right? That it has taught me. It kind of works like that, right? So if you look at the default widgets, it's simply just a project that could be built just like any other project, right? So if you wanted to write your own implementation of default widget, you can do so, right? You didn't even have to use the default widgets that is there, right? This is very modular in that sense, right? You do get some knowledge for it, definitely, absolutely, right? That you're gonna get some knowledge for it. Yeah. I think anyone who works on something for a long time will probably get the same benefit. It doesn't really matter what the language is, right? One thing that I can say that I don't think people do enough, and that is wipe the prototype, right? So you start building on something and then it kind of doesn't, the architecture isn't quite right. You finally run into the problems that only become visible once you're this far into the project and all that stuff. And instead of sort of taking that code, and I don't conflate that you should rewrite everything all the time. That is not what I'm saying. But I think when you build your first prototype and all that, I think it's common to not just wipe the whole project and start again with the new knowledge. I think it's more common that people keep sort of chipping away at something, even if it has like bad design under the hood. And I think bad design is at the foundation is this thing that kind of gets inherited across the whole project. So you always keep getting affected by this bad design, right? There are a lot of things that I wanted to do that has become very simple to do because of how this project is designed. But it's only designed this way because I wrote a lot of really bad implementations of this first. If I would have tried to keep up with the old version of this, it wouldn't be where it is today. Definitely not. Hello, Skylar. So there are things that I wish weren't the way they are, but I think most of the problems that we are facing and dealing with today in this project is down to the fact that the project has a template language and a runtime. If you took that out, you would simplify life significantly. You would, of course, just be making yet another library like this, and you can just throw it in the pile with all the other libraries like this. But it adds all the value, but it also brings all the problems. Like this whole callback / associated function malarkey is such a headache. And the reason it's a headache is because we have to go through this runtime, right? We have this type safe Rust code, and we kind of go into this template where we lose a lot of this stuff, and then we go back out again into Rust. And this is such a... like we lose and regain the type information, and this is really... this sort of adds to the complication, right? And I don't want to solve all the problems with proc macros because they add a lot of magic. There's nothing wrong with them. They're good, right? But I'm guessing you mean a private repository. I have never tried to set one up, Rebel, but I think it should be very little friction to set one up. So because we do this, like we dip in between these two different spaces, right? Where we exist between two layers, right? So you have you can use this for like Rust. So you have your Rust layer, and then you have the template code in there, right? And you kind of start out over here in the world of Rust with your state, and then you transfer this into the template, and then from here out back again into Rust. So you have this sort of weird relationship where you lose the type information and then you come back into Rust again, right? And obviously you're not losing the type information, but there's like a lot of stuff going on there that makes it a little bit more challenging to deal with. It's very I don't know what a word for this would be, right? But you can certainly feel it, right? You feel it as you go through this derby. Yeah, it's a derby is what it is. Exactly. So take the callbacks, for instance. So we have two different states in Anathema. And that is not the button I was looking for, right? Let's swap these around like that. Let's say we are building there. There we go. And there. We can ditch this layer. Delete the layer. Oh, really? You did not make a line, did you? No, because I held down the wrong button, didn't I? Oh, well. No, did it again. Okay. Oh, and then I drew it on the wrong layer as well, didn't I? Well, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter much, as my father-in-law used to say. So we have the callbacks here, right? So we have one widget up here, and we have another widget up here in the world of Rust. And this widget is a child of this widget, right? So this is the parent, this is the child. And when something happens over here, we need to be able to tell the parent that something has happened. However, this relationship is not established in this Rust layer. It is established down here. So we kind of have to go down here and create the binding here and then back up again into the Rust layer, right? If you make templates as macros, you've already lost, because then you're back at making compile time specific applications, right? Any change you want to make is subject to recompilation. Either it's subject to recompilation or you are confined within the configuration parameters that this program allows. See things like Vim, Termux, Cat, LS, whatever. Like all these different programs, they have very different configurations, right? Very different parameters in which you can exist. Hello, Colin, say guy. In which you can exist, right? So it is not easy to solve these problems, but they become easier in the world of macros. Because if we're gonna do this with macros, then we could have just had a regular fn mute, for instance, or a closure as our callbacks, and we'd be done. The need for this kind of amalgamation or aggregation of data that is evaluated at the end of a frame wouldn't exist, right? Yes, but their design goal is the opposite of me. Happy we're back to... Oh, were you watching the stream yesterday, Mara? Sorry, I didn't say hi then. Unless I did, and I just have bad memory. The problem that you're solving is also taking away the freedom, right? Remember that most people who are using the software that we write aren't programmers, right? Maybe more so in this world, in the world of TUI, they're not. But if you take the entire subreddit Unix spawn, I don't think everyone there is a programmer. So and had to go, right? Not everyone there is going to be a programmer, but most people can understand how to change configurations. If we can start making these things universal, right? That is my goal is not that ambitious. I'm not trying to take over the world of TUI, okay? I don't think that's going to happen. But if there are at least a few different applications, and even if it's not the same, even if they're not, right? Just one application is enough. There's enough simplicity in the language for you to be able to use it, right? Problem is similar to something that world. No, because the world of web front end is all dynamic dispatch, right? The whole web is dynamic. We are working with compiled. We're working with compiled data delivery to a dynamic front end, right? But we still have to go. So take the JavaScript runtime. It's entirely dynamic. So whatever you do in there, if you want to have a callback or whatever, you can just pass a function pointer and Bob's your uncle, right? Not so much in here where we have strong types. So for instance, if we look at this code here, and we have the input state, right? This has a value of a string, which means that anything that subscribes to this value, right? Sorry, anything that wants to react to this value has to operate on a string. So everything, remember that collections are homogeneous, right? So anything you put into a collection has to be of the same type that is already in the collection. But what if we have one callback for value and one callback for cursor position, right? Now we're talking about like an XY value. Where are we going to store the callback that operates on this? Because you can't place in the same callback that operates on this. They're two different types, right? So the callback has to look different. I mean, they don't. We want to make them homogeneous, right? But that is not a problem that you have in JavaScript, right? You can, an object can be a string and then next second it's an integer and nobody cares, right? Think of the follows. And then you don't care, right? Because it's just, you know. Cool. Sorry. Yeah, so you can just pass function pointers and do whatever, right? Well, unsafe wouldn't work because how are you even going to interpret this thing, right? The only thing you could do is transmute them into bytes, but then you suddenly are serializing and deserializing the data in between. You wouldn't know what to transmute it to, right? Not to mention that the application could stop working when you upgrade your compiler or whatever, right? So that doesn't hold water either. So it becomes this complex problem of trying to unify all the data and then bring it back into what it is, right? Can't you cast as in Rust? Not really, but you kind of can, right? So what we actually do here is we have something called a common val, which is something that any state value can be reduced into. So when we get a callback, we know the name of the callback, and this is very mechanical, but it can only exist like this because we don't have callbacks on. Let me see, how can I phrase this? If we had callbacks on the text, how are we gonna map that callback into a type in Rust? Are we gonna have like a hash map with a bunch of callbacks? If we do that, then you're still gonna have to get a key and a value, so there's no difference, right? When is using unsafe a good idea? Maybe in game dev. Unsafe is good. So the hand wavy answer to that, Tuna, is unsafe is good when you can express something that the compiler cannot. You can prove it's correct, but the compiler cannot. More commonly, you're going to get unsafe when you're doing things like C interop, because Rust cannot make any assurances or any guarantees around the C code. Or, for that matter, any dynamically loaded library, right? Rust cannot make any guarantees around this stuff, right? So therefore, you have to use unsafe. But unsafe is just you saying, I got this. You can take a break. To the borrow checker, to the compiler, really. Well, not the compiler, the borrow checker. But you have to uphold these variances, right? And it's very easy to make something that is safely unsafe, undefined behavior, right? It might be fine today, but changes to the program that touches that region. This is why we have unsafe functions, unsafe traits, unsafe blocks, right? Just behold my beer. Yeah. Debugging unsafe issues is a nightmare. Well, yes and no. So if you have your average Rust code and you segfault, all you have to do is look for the unsafe keyword, right? That's where you're going to start debugging. So when it comes to using cast as, there is something we kind of can do, Scott, called any. So every type implements the any trait, and you can downcast these things back to the original type, but you have to know the original type, of course. You have to know that. We do a lot of that when we build out the widget tree. We don't use the any type directly. We use trait objects, but they can in and of themselves produce any types. So there we have a lot of leeway of what we can do, right? But then, yeah, it's not simple. But when we get here to the callback, this is the only thing that I've come up with that we can do that doesn't involve procedural macros. How can we call a function on self based on what is actually happening, right? So this function would be called username, but how do we map this function to something that is put together at runtime with metadata? But now you're talking about macros again. Macros are meta-programming, right? Could you explain type theory? I would recommend you look at Bartosz videos. I use that as a threat when my child doesn't want to do chores. I said, I'm going to watch Bartosz. My kid literally said something, no, not Bartosz again. So if we have a function, if we have a type here that is going to be our widget, and we're going to implement our widget here. No, how did I do that? Our widget. And we have a function called update username, right? And we're going to get a new username here, right? Whoops. We should probably store the username and the password on this type then, right? We'll make it a string. We don't really care about ownership in this contrived example, right? Password bracket, right? So self.username is now equal to username to own, right? Or to string or clone or whatever you want, right? And then we're gonna have another one that looks exactly the same, right? But the difference is this is for the password, right? Okay, how can we associate these functions of this instance in Rust? Let me find category theory. Okay, this is all you need. I would have thought this is all you need to get Bartosz, but he's not at the top, is he? There he is. And the way he says template metaprogramming, right? That's my favorite. Right, look for this guy. Bartosz, I think he's Greek or Turkish or whatever. You know how you get rid of Twitch ads, D3? You know how you get rid of, just comment and like below. You get rid of these things, right? Bartosz is God. I think if you can wrap your head around what he's preaching, then good luck, right? I don't think he's Polish. I think it's either Turkish or Greek. No, I know there's the difference between Greek and Turkish. I know about North Cyprus too. Okay, so how could we then say if we have two widgets But this has to be mutable because we need to modify them, right? And we're going to place them inside a vector as well for good measure. Well, actually, you know what? I don't even want to create these things. There we go. So if we did this, how can we, inside a template language, say that one of these widgets is going to have this function called, right? We can't, right? We can't borrow a function pointer from this because at compile time, because then the widget is mutably borrowed throughout the entire duration of the application, right? His website says he's Polish. Okay, really? I shall stand corrected then, right? Website, doesn't it have a Wikipedia? Doesn't it have a Wikipedia entry? He doesn't? I have been educated in Poland, where I got my PhD. Where does it say that he is Polish? I've been educated in Poland, I got my PhD. I have several postdoc positions in Europe and in the US. Then I suddenly found myself working for Microsoft. That didn't work very well. Oh, I love this guy. That didn't work very well since Microsoft was in denial about the internet. I quit and started my own micro company, Reliable Software. We implemented the first distributed version control system now in public domain. I wrote a book, C++ in Action, Industrial Strength Programming. I started digging into computer science, enlisting in graduate course at the University of Washington. I became fascinated with multi-threading, and I joined Walter Bright and Andre Alexandrescu in designing and implementing the deprogramming. Really, he wrote the deprogramming language. Interest in C++ template metaprogramming and concurrency in natural led me to Haskell, and then to category theory. To my surprise, the series of blog posts later converted to the book. Category theory became quite popular among programmers. I think it's quite popular around people who like to pretend to know what they are, right? His name is John McPolansky. Yeah, this guy is on the next level rebel, absolutely, right? But why doesn't he have a Wikipedia article? Why does Bartosz not have his own wiki? What is this? Functorio? Why was that? I don't know. But I honestly, I don't know, and it's not that important. He could very well be Polish. That doesn't mean that Turkish, Greek, Polish, whatever, doesn't know category theory. It doesn't know that all Polish people knows category theory. It doesn't really matter, right? We'll assume that he's Polish then. I'm pretty sure someone said he was Greek or Turkish, but what do I know, right? Any hoodles, right? So yeah, so if we do this, there is no way that I can take a pointer to the function by grabbing the, well, actually we have to mutably grab widgets dot update username, right? So we can't do this. All right, so we can't even get a. Will this give us a function pointer? Even though we're trying to use it like that. Yeah, I get. For once, Rust, you're not doing what I want you to do, right? But I guess it doesn't really matter, right? The point is still the same, right? So could we do this, right? Oh, no, but we can't say what it is. Yeah. Anyway, the point is moot because we can't do it either way, right? Oops, sorry, I hit the microphone there. Okay. Sorry, I'm just fiddling with this thing. Not me. I'm gonna live forever. I checked. Is a representative of every single person in Poland. I regret branching off so much that I can't give up since I'm so deep in compile a rabbit hole. That's a shame. Nah, you gotta do what makes you happy, right? That's probably quite fun though, right? There's not, I don't think there's anything to give advice on, right? You should just do whatever makes you happy, right? Whatever drives you, whatever inspires you, because even though we're all dead in 21, 24, right? But there is no go around, okay? My wife is gonna re-educate herself, and she's not 20 years old. Soon, I think. I'm doing what I want to do, and I do what drives me, and I think we should all strive for that. You might have to do some setup before you get there, but if you go to your job every day and you'd be like, oh man, I'm doing web development, I wish I was a game developer. Why? Become a game developer then, right? I feel lost. Okay, what do you want to do, Pi? Like, what would you do if you looked into the future and you could see yourself? What do you hope to see, right? And I'm not talking about like, oh, I wish I had like long blonde hair, I could play the guitar and walk around on the beach and the ladies are throwing pine cones at me. That's not the kind of unattainable nonsense I'm talking about, right? Because there are no pine cones on the beach. I'm talking about what is within reason, right? Not like, oh, I can fly and I have like magical socks, right? The pine cone twist. NVIDIA CUDA compiler seems fun. Is that what you want to do? If that's what you want to do, then go it, right? Bring your own pine cones, yeah. How you doing, Temporis? Welcome back. Okay, but if that's what you want to do, then go for it, Pi. What's the reason to not do something, right? You play this lanky, aging, bearded guy trying to stream on Twitch in his rhythm game. We have to troll the chat. I don't even know what that would look like, but I love it. I'll play it though. I think it's just back there on Kickstarter. I want to work as a programmer, but I don't know what I would do outside of web dev. Web dev just sounds like hell to me. Have you done web dev, Tuna? So this is what I was berating D3 for yesterday. I love you, D3. Don't worry about it. It's like when people tell you, Tuna, if people tell you like web development is horrible, like you'll be miserable. How can they tell you that? How do they know? There are people who are genuinely happy as doing testing and quality assurance, right? There are people, I met this guy once, he was so into testing and writing all the test script, and he looked like this really interesting goblin kind of person, which you'd expect from someone like that. But he was so good at it, and he was so driven by it. He really owned the concept, right? And I never met anyone like that. I was like, wow, you actually like testing. I was like, oh yeah, it's like this really fantastic. He would literally, not only would he automate everything, he would also sit and manually do things. The kind of person who would sit there, click a button to try different like pixel coordinates and stuff like that, right? And then make notes, right? That kind of person. I've tried some very basic web dev stuff, but it was just too frustrating and annoying. I didn't get very far. Okay, but what was it? What was it that was frustrating and annoying? Oh, it is Temporis, but I can say this after I've been doing it for decades, okay? When I started doing it, I loved it. I thought it was really fun. Gave some dev Adderall. I think we have to do something for some given amount of time before we start saying that it's bad, okay? And it's horrible. Because if the reason you find it frustrating and annoying is because, I mean, like, there could be many reasons why you find it frustrating and annoying, right? You might find it frustrating and annoying because you're taking this bird's eye view of the front-end ecosystem and you go, what did you guys do? What did you do? This was fine. What have you done? Okay, you might do that, or you might find it frustrating and annoying because the learning curve is not matching your expectations because everyone says that anyone can do it, and then you look at this and you realize you have to learn HTML, JavaScript, a bunch of bullshit that no one cares about, some backend stuff, databases. There's a lot of stuff to pack in there, right? And all of a sudden, you can become a web dev in 5 days. Doesn't really seem that feasible anymore, right? Okay, but get rid of that language, right? There are many other choices you can use. Yes, because you are making it convoluted and messy, okay? And I'm not saying that this is all your fault, right? I'm saying that this is all your fault. No, but you are making this convoluted and messy. Building a website could be the simplest thing in the world, right? It could be slapping some HTML in a file and calling it a day, right? Getting a little bit of CSS in there to make it look a bit nicer. All right, now you're going to have to start adding some forms, maybe do some backend. Okay, pick up a programming language, right? Something to work on the backend. You certainly don't have to start here. And you don't have to touch a lot of this stuff if you don't want to. Web dev is fine. It's absolutely stupid clients that make it hell. Yeah, that is why I walked away. Because it's like, oh God, I can't do it. You want yet another crud thing. I'm sitting here learning Rust, and it's like this incredible language which spreads its tendrils into every domain if it can. It's like this freak octopus monster. I need this thing, but you're asking me to sacrifice my brain cells for your really shitty business idea, and I'm dying on the inside. I am literally collapsing on the inside because your business is terrible, and I have no idea how you got this far in life. But here we are, right? And I just went, no, I can't do it anymore, right? Oh, but see, now you're picking something like cutting edge, right? Why not pick something that is tried and tested? But Tuna, I'm not going to convince you to become a web dev. I'm just saying it's very important. It's very important that we evaluate things from our own perspective, not everyone else's perspective, right? There are a million people out there who will tell you that pop music is bad. There are a million people out there who will tell you that JavaScript is bad. But there are an equal amount of people listening to pop music and doing JavaScript. It's probably not just a million, but still, you get the idea, right? Exactly, right? Let me worship the crab, right? Most companies would rather use legacy stuff for older, more mature websites, I guess. Well, I mean, again, it's about doing what it is that you want to do, right? But maybe web dev isn't for you, right? Have you tried doing game dev? Have you tried popping open Godot game engine and spinning up some 2D platformer, all right? Or doing your own JRPG featuring sardines? I don't know, right? Yeah, I think Elixir is probably way more mature than anything with Beam, right? It's called GitHub, though. I don't really like Elixir. I prefer Gleam, but the issue is Gleam is so new. Yeah, there you go, all right? But we kind of, if you look at the conversation we're having, Tuna, is this really that you tried web dev and your predicament is currently with web dev? Or is this that you're uncertain about which technology to explore as much as which field, right? So it sounds to me like this is not an industry choice alone. This seems like a combination of a tech choice and an industry choice, right? Yeah, give me that Erlang. Give me that Erlang, baby. Right. But no, it's I'd say you should. There's an exercise you can do, Tuna, that will get you to where you want to go. It involves taking a piece of paper and a pen, and then you write down where you want to be. And then you start backtracking, right? So you start with something like, where do you want to be? Not where do you want to go today, because that was gross soft, right? We're not doing that. Oh, come on, delete. Oh, too much delete. Okay. So you start off with what is it that you actually want to do? This is your goal. What do you want to do, right? Maybe you want to do game dev. Okay, then you start working backwards. What do I need to do like game dev? Well, I need some kind of game engine, right? Unless you want to be a game engine dev. Nothing wrong with that. You want to do that, do that. Join us in the Rust world. We have all the engines and all the games, right? So game engine, maybe a bit of maths, right? Plus, minus, 1x. That's your math, right? And you start walking backwards from your W, right? Where you want to be. And then from here, you start like, okay, so let's evaluate a couple of game engines, right? Unity, no. You basically violate everyone's trust there, right? So maybe GD, right? This is supposed to be a G. Come on, man. I should have scaled this up, shouldn't I? There we go, all right. Oh, thank you for scaling in the other direction as well. There we go. Ah, my eye hole. All right, don't worry about it. I got you. Why is that white, though? It seems a little bit odd to me. There we go. That's why. All right. So now that we scale this out a little bit, we can doodle. Okay, so up here, if I could just press the letter B. Oh, that was definitely what I want to do. B. Why can't I draw? I mean, that's just a general question. Why can't I draw, right? Because I use black as a background. Okay, there we go. I learned. Okay, so this is where you want to go as a game dev, right? And then from here, you pick out your engine, and then you're going to go, okay, do I want Godot? Do I want Unreal Engine? Do I want to write my own? And if you want to write your own, then you go down here, and then you get a big question mark and then some tears, okay? Or a banana. Who knows, right? And then you just follow this map, right? And you're gonna get a bit of maths in there, right? So we're gonna +1. That's our math, right? And then like, okay, well, I'm gonna be a game developer. Okay, am I gonna be a game developer for a studio, or am I gonna be a game developer for myself? Well, I want to be a game developer for a studio. Okay, well then we're gonna start adding some other things in there, right? Now we need to brush up on job applications, right? Job applications, right? We need to do some of that. Maybe you need a degree. There you go, 1 degree, right? You just work backwards from this list, right? It's like you want to build a house. How do you build a house? It's incredibly complicated, but then you start walking backwards, right? So this is your house. Beautiful house, right? And then you start, what do we need? We need a foundation. Whatever, right? We need a roof, we need things. And how do you do all this stuff? Well, you need like carpenters and you need concrete pouring. Should I pour the concrete myself? Or should I, if you're building a house, you probably get like a big tanker in to do it. If you're building a garage or whatever, then you can do it yourself, right? So it's all just mapping this out, working backwards, constantly asking questions, right? By asking the questions, you get the answer that leads you to where you want to go, right? I think it's, if you don't know which, so if I do this, right? If I do this, what technology do you want to work with, Tuna? What technology do you want to work with, right? What language do you want to work with? Do you know this? This is a simple question, right? Oh man, what a cool game, right? I haven't actually played this, but I've seen so much about this. I'm never gonna play it though because it looks like a complete time vampire. What language do you want to do, Tuna? I'm gonna put you on the spot now. Bosh, it's just you and I now. Oh, it doesn't update. How useful. Rust, C are cool, maybe Sig, but I haven't done. Okay, look, they listen, Tuna. We're right here, okay? So you actually don't even know what language you want to use, okay? So we got Rust, we got Sig, and we got C, okay? Which one of these languages do you want to do, okay? Now, your answer is, I don't know, right? But how can we find out which one of these languages you want to do, right? The language you enjoy using the most, okay? Well, why isn't Rust the obvious choice then? And that's a question. I'm not being like Rust should be the obvious choice or I'll get you, right? Why isn't this the obvious choice? Why is SIG and C in the mix? Why are SIG and C alternatives in this choice of yours, right? Remember, you can lie to us, but you have to be honest with yourself, right? You can lie in chat, but in your head, you have to answer truthfully, right? Raspberry, but it wouldn't mind settling for C or SIG. Okay, but you're actively not making choices. You're actively not making choices. Why would you pick SIG or C? All right. I'm not asking you to justify anything. I'm asking you, why are these still on the table, right? What is it that keeps them there? Why do we have SIG in there? Why do we have C in there, right? I'm asking you, not anyone else, right? Everyone else is going to have their own answers, right? If I couldn't find anything Rust-based, you think SIG is an option then? The fact it uses quasi grade is wild. The graphics warping, the display is neat. Yeah, it's a very good looking game too. Yeah, so this is the thing, right? I don't think it's about choosing a language tuner. I think it's about making choices. And I get the impression that you are meandering a little bit aimlessly. You're not aiming for anything. There is no anchor in the future that drags you somewhere, right? You are, I might be wrong here, of course. You're kind of surrounded by technology, but unable to commit to something. What is it that makes you, if I'm correct, what is it that makes you not want to commit to something? Going in a million directions at once. I mean, that's just being human, right? That's being human. And just because people start lots of projects, look at different languages all the time, does not automatically give them ADHD, okay? Let's just be very clear on that. And then we're going to take that conversation and pack it up and we drop it on the floor where it belongs, okay? And we're not going to go and dig at this, right? Okay, but what is it that you want to do? So there is a canvas widget that will give you access to a grid that you can paint on, right? It's a bit rough around the edges, but it's there. So you can put it as a widget. You can just make a widget for the whole screen that is the canvas, and you can draw on it. I'm mainly focused on Rust and learning how low-level systems work. But why are you doing that, right? With occasional hobby stuff with Gleam and FP, right? Yeah. Hello, Super Vinci. So, okay, but you haven't answered my question. Why is SIG and C on the table, right? So is this a non-commitment thing, or is it that you're worried that if you commit to Rust, you might miss out on SIG? Like, what is it that preventing that, right? You want to learn about systems like operating systems and sometimes very simple game there, but that's more hobby when I talk about game there, or I look for OS and low-level stuff. Okay, so what, this is good. This is good, right? Okay, so what makes you think that Rust is good for that, for instance? What is it that makes you think that, okay, I want to use Rust for that? Oh, D3. We have something right just for that. It's the backend. You can write your own backend that you draw to. Right? You might be on your way to do something that I have already started somewhere else and I have been hinting at but never committing to it just yet, right? But if you implement the backend, okay, D3, then you can possibly do what you want to do. Yeah, it is, but Rust has some quality of life around safety that I struggle with when thinking in C. Rust is pattern matching, which I enjoy as a workflow as well. Okay, so why? So then I'm going to keep asking you this question, Tune in the Cube, right? Why is C and SIG still on the table? Why aren't you committed to Rust? Or maybe I should rephrase the question, why haven't you committed to SIG then? Or why haven't you committed to C? Why are these high-level languages still on the table? Why isn't assembly the way to go, right? Rust is perfection. Because they think they're interesting. Okay, that's fair enough. But that is still just... That is not... How do I put this? If you do a little with a lot, you get a whole lot of nothing, right? If you do a little bit of Rust, a little bit of C, a little bit of SIG, then you get nothing in the end, right? You can learn Rust, C, and SIG. There's nothing wrong with that. But you have to organize yourself if you're going to do that, right? I don't think we're on the same page. Probably not. Possibly not. You get a whole lot of upside triangles, right? Master of all is master of none. So what I'm hinting at, or where I'm going though, is I'm talking about having a goal and a direction. Goals are, and I'm going to say something super controversial here, shit, okay? Nah, goals are fine, but it's not really... Goals should be used to point you in a direction, right? Because once you reach a goal, what do, right? You need to have a direction to go in, right? This is a good way of summarizing it, right? This is a good way of summarizing it. I don't feel like it's good to purely commit to one idea and never be open to keep ideas in the back of my head. That's back. No, hang on. Then you are not committing to any idea, right? Then is it good to commit to one idea or good to not commit to 10 ideas, right? There's nothing wrong with committing to an idea. Every single finished project you have seen finished, right, is based on commitments by one or more people, right? Everything that we have today, computer mice, keyboards, programming language, is based on commitment by other people, right? They might have other things going for them, but they were certainly committed to the thing they were working on, right? Committing to one idea is a great thing. That's how we finish things. All right? How many of you in chat have a project graveyard on your GitHub repository? And how many of you have finished projects, right? No, that's why I say finished project, right? Your goal could be to learn, and that's what you want to do, right? You can learn, you can spend the rest of your life being a student. There's nothing wrong with it, right? I mean, the very essence of life in my book is learn as much as you can and then die, right? How committed do I have to be until you are content? I already feel pretty committed with Rust, but I like multiple things. I don't want to learn one thing. No, but that's fine. But then you are committed to learning, right? I've done enough, right? But we're going to get back into this thing, right? This conversation is esoteric, and I feel like I'm missing some details from this whole conversation, so it's fine, right? Initial commit. What else do you need, right? So we're going to go back to the problem, right? The problem is that we cannot do this. You cannot just grab a function pointer or something. You cannot borrow this thing from a struct or whatever, because there is no way... Now I have no skin in this game, okay? I am not invested in you being committed. I am simply having a conversation which I was hoping would lead you to ask yourself questions to get to where you wanted to go, but I might have misunderstood where you want to go, right? What is your goal, right? Where are you heading, right? In 5 years' time, if you could look into the future and see yourself, what do you hope that your future self would have achieved in these 5 years, right? And that's kind of what I was talking about, right? And I'm not saying that having goals that are 5 years ahead is not necessarily a good thing, right? But it doesn't matter, right? Like the important thing is that we do what we want to do, and we do the things that makes us happy, as long as they're not at the expense of other people and other people's happiness, right? It's a very, very simple way. But no, it doesn't bother me if you don't. I could have very well misunderstood the conversation, right? It's fine. I don't feel anything towards whether you are committed to a thing or not, right? It doesn't affect me, right? I will take my headphones off, go and deal with the laundry, and I will be none the wiser about the commitments you are making to yourself and or other people, right? Unless you're committed to murdering me, I would be very happy if you did not have that kind of commitment. But the point is, like, there's not. I'm not living your life. I'm not in charge of you in any way or form, right? It's all about doing. I just want to have a conversation that would go somewhere based on what you said. But I probably, you know what? Why don't I just reread the message where maybe I've gone wrong, right? Somewhere up here, right? Oh man, this is a long conversation. Oh yeah, we started with like web development, right? I want to work as a programmer, but I don't know what I would do outside of web dev. Web dev sounds like hell to me. And I think this is the conversation that started the whole thing, right? Like trying to figure out what is it that you actually want to do then, right? And to figure out what it is that you want to do, you have to ask those questions, right? What is it that I want to do? And you probably have to commit to something and that something has to be the thing you want to do, right? Otherwise, you're never going to get there, right? I very much want one thing, but I want to be open to adapt if things go wrong. I don't think it's good to have one plan, no backup. No, I think you're conflating too much stuff from what I'm saying. I'm not saying do one thing and do one thing well, right? You're not a Unix command from the 80s or whatever, right? You should be open to, we should always be open and flexible to change, right? That is the only way we can exist with other people and get through life. If we were rigid and never changed, then we would be idiots, right? Because someone would say, here's empirical evidence that what you're doing is detrimental to your health. And they'd be like, no, you're wrong, right? But if you are gonna get far with something, you have to commit to it, because you can't start walking to the store and to the school and to your bedroom at the same time, right? You can't do all the things at the same time. You can dabble in lots of things, but then you have to acknowledge that that's what you're doing, right? You have to acknowledge that you're dabbling with things if you're doing that. Every time I say I want one thing, when I'm open to have a backup plan, you tell me that's not commitment. No, I think you're not. I'm not getting across to you, right? I think there's a misunderstanding, right? Being open to other things is fine. We should be flexible. I literally just said that we should be flexible. I'm saying it's going to be very difficult to achieve a goal if you try to do lots of things at the same time, right? I'm not saying it's unachievable, right? But if you have one thing and you are committed to that one thing and you have a backup plan, there's nothing, just stay the course, Captain, right? You're fine. There's nothing more to be said about it, right? As long as you're doing whatever it is that you want to do that leads you in the direction you want to go in, right? That's all I'm saying, right? That's all I'm saying. Okay, back to this thing. I can do any one thing if I want to do one thing. I can only ever get anything done when I do them in parallel. I feel like I'm not the confusing one now. Okay. It's all good though. It's all good. Well, then maybe your main goal should be to learn to compartmentalize, right? Just so it kind of reads a little bit like this, but I didn't want to say that entirely. It does seem like which is obviously where the commitment thing comes from, but you know, yeah. I mean, as long as you do whatever works for you, right? Okay, we're gonna do a little bit of this, and this does not work for me because there's something wrong with this code. So we're gonna have to figure out what's wrong with this code, right? And by compiling said code, we'll see where it's wrong. So we need to get a parent. All right. So do we have something called a template component ID in here? Do we have components in here somewhere? Here's components. Do we have fiddlesticks? We don't. We have a widget component ID. How do widget component ID differentiate from template component ID? where are widget component IDs even created? And let's go and have a look. No, you gotta do this. I can't stress this enough, Tuna. You got to do what works for you, right? No one can say what works for you who isn't you, right? I mean, a medical professional can tell you based on some tests what medicine works for you and whatever, right? But when it comes to doing things, you can only do things the way that works for you, and you know you best, right? You should definitely do it on the dev branch for now, right? The dev branch is the way to go, Nick. The main branch is not yet up to speed. Where are we using this thing then? Nowhere? So in the widgets project, this does not seem to be used anywhere. No. All right, well, we get rid of that then. Okay, so widget component ID, where are you used then? Okay, so when we add a component, what? Okay. Oh, this is a bloody test run, eh, you fool. So we get this when we add this to the component. I don't drink alcohol, so that's really hard to say. I don't know if I had Pilsner, but I had Carlsberg in the past when I was younger and I cared, but that was certainly not the best. I think the best one in the world is Carlsberg Special Brew. This is the most rancid thing you can get your hands on, okay? This is probably the worst drink in the... It's up there with White Lightning. Okay, register. So when we register these things, we add them. That's when we get the ID. Okay, so how does that work? Why did I stop drinking? Because it took me a while to realize this, Nick, but alcohol doesn't actually help anything. He became a fitness influencer. Yeah, right. Cheap, nasty uni student beer. Alcoholic on a park bench as well, right? So, okay, when we add a component, we get this from the insertion, but do we have to store the template component as well? Just to know the hierarchy? It delays the inevitable. No, I think alcohol is detrimental to my fun. And last time I was hungover, it lasted for a whole weekend. So going out on a Friday ruined my Sunday, and you kind of have to go, really? Is it worth it? The older you get, the worse the hangovers get. Anyway, someone's a bit posh here. Hey, if you're that posh and you got a lot of disposable income, RJ, I mean, I'm just saying. You don't need to get that. When I had a problem with stopping, though, right? I mean, I can have a pint in the pub after work, right? We used to pop over to the pub. Sometimes we even go during the lunch break, right? But on like a Friday, I always used to get like after like 2-3 pints, after like 3 pints, it was hard to stop. Then I just kept drinking and smoking for the rest of the evening, right? And at that point, you know, but this is the thing, right? Alcohol is not a right. It's not something that like if you're a terrible drunk, don't drink, right? But my friends can't drink. Yeah. Not a valid argument. If you're loud and annoying when you're drunk, I mean, I can do that sober, then don't drink, right? No one likes it. And you'll probably have that one friend who you're like, oh gosh, should we invite that person, right? If you are that person, then stop drinking, right? You don't have to. Okay, more importantly, this is going to give us a component ID. So how does this fit in with the template then? Okay. So what is this ID? Oh my god, they're the same. Hang on to your sneakers. In the template, in the widgets, we have the template. And we also have the widget ID. This is the bloody same thing, isn't it? Okay. I think we can get rid of the widget component ID, or rather the template component ID can become the widget component ID. And then inside our widgets, we can get rid of this. And we can bring this in from anathema. Goodness me. There we go. Thumb. There we go. Widget component ID, which doesn't exist in the root. So we have to add this. Okay, this is what we need. We're almost there. I think we can clean this up a little as well in the process. I might have broken a lot of things now. No. That is from templates. Ooh, I was gonna say, do we actually have access to templates? We do. Oops, can't run that. All right, so this is gonna do it. So we don't need this here. We need this from self.components. So self.components is gonna have component ID. Do we have one? What does dumb fetch do? Yeah, we use a dumb fetch. And this is in message handling. Do we need this? I don't need to read that. Oop, hang on, what's that all about? Okay. Oh, goldfish. Dumb fetch. But then this is the parent, right? Component parent. No. We don't have the parent. But this isn't the right one. Then we need to specify the parent here. And that should be fine. Yes. Where is the actual component we're operating on then? What are you gaming? What are you going to play? It's input. Which we have. I just cannot get my head around this. I cannot get my head around this. I slouch like a salmon. Oh. There you are, an option of an index entry. And what is this in terms of context? It's a parent, which is a widget ID. So we're not quite there. We have to map this value. Don't have to dereference that either. Okay, that's it. So that's the parent. And that's supposed to be a parent, so we can just do into here. Yes. What's the singularity? I mean, sometimes it's fun to just play some rubbish game and really just destroy everything in the game, right? Like, I played a lot of, what's that one game where you, Deus Ex Human Revolution or whatever, right? That game I can just potter about in. Cyberpunk is also quite fun to just potter about and do side quests and everything and not worry too much about it. So we kind of just established how parents are retrieved. So we're going to copy this. This is going to be such an ugly thing to do. I don't think they're making a new one, so I think this is probably what's the fall? When did this come out? 2014. Is this a mobile game? No, they I don't think they did. I don't think they did. I think it's very Mankind Divided. That's the one. Human Revolution was 2011. And Breach is a kind of BS thing, right? So it's been quite a while since since this came out. But Cyberpunk kind of scratches that itch a little bit for me. This open world, let's do some nonsense thing. I do not love that in a lot of these games, they sort of handcuff you to this crappy, boring tutorial. I don't love that. And in my head, the game that I'm designing, that I want to build one day, you start off with a very basic character. You can already go and do whatever, but you're just not going to have all the interfaces you need. So the game's interface is based on components that you will attach to it, right? So you just don't have all that, but there's nothing stopping you or forcing you to do something. This is very hand wavy, and I have no idea if this is going to be good, but the point still stands. I really don't love the whole, all right, go here, see this blinking light, yeah, click on that thing. And it's like, you're just telling me what to do and you give me no choice not to do it. Like, what? I'm not following this tutorial. I'm just clicking shit to get through, right? I think it's really bad when games are designed that way. Like, let me go and destroy things and figure things out on my own, right? That's how I want to play. Let me fail myself into understanding, right? But I think that's probably down to people not wanting to invest a lot of time into games as well, because they want to know if they like the game. They want to know about the, like, is this a is this for me? Blah 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 blah. All that stuff, right? I was streaming when I saw the message, right? I've seen Shapes. I've seen the first one, I think. Component patterns. We don't do that though, right? We're gonna get rid of that. I'm gonna grab this big ugly block and replace all this. Do we have? Yeah, we have it. So we're gonna rename this to components. Almost there. Whoa. Interesting. Is this the same thing? Do we have components? Yeah, there we go, right? No, go down. There we go. Probably just gonna be that, isn't it? Don't need that anymore. Wait. No. What are you doing? There's no self in there. Crikey. And I made it 3D. I see. So, like, isn't one of the problems with these kind of games that they're like impossible to scale? So you can't build like this extremely massive factory. I always wondered about this, right? How can you have like an infinite universe with these simulations in it? I mean, obviously you can't, but I just wonder if it was possible to do something like this, right? Okay, so what is this thing? Can't borrow components as mutable. Oh, really? Why would they need to be mutable though? There's no mutability happening there. Yeah, and I just wonder, like, how do you solve this, right? I mean, I don't think you can. You can't solve it where you would have to compress the simulation. So if you build some kind of large factory doing lots and lots of things, you sort of have to compress that into a single unit that does one thing. I don't think that makes any sense. Hello, Herbie, how you going? Okay, we're gonna look at the okay. Is this all the same? But this thing, let's make a copy then. They're just numbers. Hello, Kabenja. There are factorial mods that compress the calculation, so a recipe in an assembly takes 10 times more input, runs 10 times longer, and outputs 10 times more items. This has side effects. So the way I was thinking about it was like, can you compress an entire factory that's like lots and lots of things, right? But let's say the factory only consumes one resource and outputs 2 resources, right? Could you just compress that whole factory to just a time simulation? So for every second, it consumes 1 and outputs 2, if that's what the factory is doing, without the actual simulation running. So you're just simulating the input and the output, right? So it's almost like you sample the factory to produce that, and then do I make any sense? That's graph compression. Nobody has done that, and you'd have to design a game around it. However, that might be impossible for a factorial complexity game. That might be impossible for a factorial. So the reason I think this could work on a large scale is if you build, if you're working on multiple factories. So yeah, so you basically just look at the time production. So you don't actually run the simulation in the factory. You really just run the input and the output at a given time. However, but you even, because we can skip this part if the simulation isn't there, but you do have to make the simulation a self-contained unit. So you would have to take you'd have to have like multiple factories, and you do this per factory kind of thing, right? You know the concept of sharding a database? The same thing is at play here. You need to shard the simulation. But that's not at all what I'm talking about. Sharding a database is doing things like splitting the database into multiples based on things like whatever, right? Like you breaking up a massive user database into multiples where you put everyone whose name starts with A in one database and whatever, right? Whereas I'm talking about the simulation existing just as a unit, right? So you have the yeah, you definitely have to compress the simulation into a unit, and a unit that is currently not observed, right? Dyson Sphere. Okay, so in theory, with Dyson Sphere, you can build like this really incredible simulations kind of thing, right? Where you can't observe them, right? You're not on a planet. No, I think that helps. So imagine a universe with multiple planets, and you have lots of factories on each planet. So you basically just condense the entire planet to a resource consumer and generator, unless the resources are all from that planet. But whatever, right? So you basically do that, right? Hello, Marek. No, it hurt too much, man. But I solved the problem that I set out to solve. That's basically what it does. Okay, in that case, I have contributed nothing to this conversation. Fine. How you doing today, Marek? What are you up to? I haven't seen you stream in a while. Well, I mean, I guess that probably depends on like live things and stuff, and you're moving boxes around. I think that's how I would do it, because I always love the idea of having things. I don't like the idea of finite resources and finite space. So I always like the concept of seeding a world. And I'm talking about like seeding as in you start a world with a seed and you use the seed as the root of your procedural generation. So you can you can't infinite, but you know what I mean, right? You can procedurally generate a world that is, what's the word I'm looking for? Reproducible. So if you run the simulation again with the same seed, you're going to get the same outcome, right? Let's do C++. You got a whole week into recovery. No, good God, no. I have not streamed my evening stream this week because I'm moving, yeah. Weekend streams. Ah, nice. Are you streaming tomorrow night then? Deterministic. Thank you, Sharper Guy. Exactly that what I was looking for. Deterministic, right? So the world is deterministic based on the seed. So you can generate this thing. I totally did, right? So you can generate this world and you can generate these things. And if you want someone else to see your world, you could just use the same seed kind of thing. This is not unique, right? But this is kind of a cool way of doing it when you're generating maps and stuff of the world. Like if you use this deterministic method, then you can basically generate like an infinite. It is not infinite, but you can generate like a large world, right? A very large world, a world that is so big you could never explore it, right? Well, the world is actually explorable in Minecraft, right? You can go from one side to the other in Minecraft, if I know correctly. My kid never lets me do anything of the sort, right? But I think you can. But no, I think that will be interesting. So if we have this deterministic universe based on this seed, we have these planets, we run these factors on the planets. So even though in your empire you are in charge of like 300 different planets, that's still only like 300 simulations running, but you're only running the compressed simulation because you're not observing them, right? So even though everything is happening, this of course takes a lot away from the game. You cannot have things breaking down over time. You cannot have any impact on your factories. They cannot be affected in any detail when they're not observed, right? So there is that, right? But yeah, you can run these simulations and stuff, and I think that'll be quite interesting, right? It'll be quite fun. Okay, cannot borrow components because Rust hates me. Okay, let's do a cargo C and see what we can do about this. It's going to be the runtime. Get out of here, error message. I want to see colors. Okay, so the components current is borrow there. So let's go to lib438. So getting the current here gives us an index entry. But what if we don't do that then? Okay, we have one left. Okay, so what is the grief here then? Okay, so component previous as well, right? So let's go here. Wait, how is this not gonna generate the same issue? I would have thought that it would generate the same issue. It was very interesting how that wasn't complaining. Okay, so widget component ID is not there. It's gonna be here. Whoopsie. Okay, delete up to the curly bracket. Delete the curly bracket. Inside templates, add the curly bracket. Surround with curly brackets. Okay, we can do that. But hey, it compiles. Okay. Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome, raiders. How you doing? Tiger it. You know it. Productivity VR. That almost sounds like productivity, but I guess you wrote it while you're playing VR. How you doing? Paperclip game. There, it has no sharding spot where you can visualize what part of the assembly graph, right? Oh, look at this. Welcome, raiders. How you doing? We're talking about Factorio. Thank you so much for the raid. We're talking about Factorio and all that ensues. And while we're doing that, and I have been trying to compile it. Okay, the code is compiling. Right. Welcome, raiders. I am some dude here on Twitch. What am I doing? I'm working on a text user interface, and we have just implemented, possibly, associated functions, which means that in our template code, we can say that for this component, when the text changes, we're gonna give it an associated function call where the username is gonna be the name of the call and the value is gonna be whatever the text change is, and these two numbers are completely irrelevant to anything. They were just there to demonstrate a bug, but we're gonna leave them in there now anyway. So can I do this? Tab. Lol, I can. We did it. Yeah. All right. So this means that we can now build third-party components, and you can associate these events with third-party components. Okay. All right. So very exciting. Very excited. Okay, right. Let me break it down. Have you seen Charm Live? Yes, Christopher. They got nothing on this, okay? Nothing. It's not a competition, okay? Because, you know, they'll be like me boxing against a baby. But jokes aside, I have seen this and I showed this as an example before. When you are looking at something like this, first of all, come on, man. If you're looking at something like this, you're gonna be... now, it's an inspiration on how not to make your users write code, okay? Right? So if we take this example, which is what, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines of code, okay? And we want to express this here, okay? We're gonna plonk it down here. That's not the right code, right? But first of all, we're gonna comment this out because we don't actually want to try to run this thing, right? So what is it that we have, right? Or this is just setting the style. Sorry, I missed the rest of the code, right? And then we're gonna print line Hello Kitty. So we actually have 9 lines of code for this thing, right? Right? 9 lines of code. So we're gonna print out Hello Kitty. Okay, so technically we've done the first part, right? It's supposed to be bold. Cool. It's supposed to be... Well, I mean, we could just copy this, right? foreground. There we go, background. And what do we have for our background? That's our background. Okay, are we done? Well, not quite, right? We're supposed to have padding top and padding left, right? So let's whack some padding in here. We're gonna have padding top being 2 and padding left being 4, right? And that's it, okay? And then, all right? So it took us 2 lines of code to do what takes this thing 9 lines of code to do, right? And why is that bad? Okay, what time is it now? But yeah, okay, but you have to call me first. Call me when you are almost there, then. You need a width of 22. I don't know what the width of 22 is supposed to do, though, because if you're setting the width of the text, then what is that supposed to do, right? Are you supposed to draw 22 characters of this thing, right? If that's the case, then we can put a container here with a width of 22, and it's probably gonna do the background like that. All right, there's your 22, right? Really not ideal when you have to do this much syntax to do something that one should be, okay, hang on, I'm not done. But wait, there is more, okay? Really, there's a lot of syntax to do all this stuff, right? And hot reload. While the application is running, we can try out our design, okay? We can try this out as much as we want, okay? Right? We can try all this out. You can do whatever you want while this thing is running. It's pretty good. It's very terse the way you set this up. You describe your application in a language that is designed for templating, right? So you have your Rust code in the back end where you write all your business logic, and then you have this thing to display it, right? Very, very simple. Very simple to use this stuff, right? You do not need a lot of text to do any of this stuff, right? We support color names as well, right? So if you want to intertwine some kind of why don't we have what everyone really wants, a foreground that is red with a full stop in it. Snap, there's the red full stop. Maybe black is better. There you go, all right? So you have all this that you can do. Let's change it into a span. So we're going to do hello, and then we can do kitty in a different style, right? Let's change that to italic. All right? Very easy, very simple. How do you handle the communication between front-end and back-end? Do you require back-end to be in Rust? Yes. The back-end is in Rust. The back-end is type safe. And today, like just when everyone raided, I finished the implementation where we can take the 2 inputs and map these into this, right? So when I type in the username, this is the username. This input is showing the username, but it's also going up here, right? Pressing tab to move to the next thing. This is the password, right? All this is very it's very doable to map these things around. So anyone can now take my input component and use them in their library. So you don't have to write an input field. You just have to say, okay, when the text is changing, I want to map that into my backend, right? Under the name of username, right? Can I do block diagram with this? Okay, let me see. Well, first of all, what's a block diagram, right? Do you want to do like a bar chart or whatever? You can totally do that. I know we have the associated function calls now, right? The layout works based on, it's a single pass layout. It works similar to how Flutter and Swift UI does it. So if you're familiar with any of those two, you probably recognize vertical stacks, set stacks, which was stack on top of each other, horizontal stacks, and all these things, right? So we can just put something like an H stack up here, right? And put some text in there, hi, and hello, and if I put a spacer in between, then smack, they're gonna be one there, right? And then whatever we want in between, right? Man in the middle, right? It's very easy to design and lay out with. It's a huge Google fan, absolutely, and I appreciate that you wrote Google with lowercase g, but this one rubs me the wrong way, right? So there's currently no way of doing. There's no diagram component, right? Everything is based on primitives, right? So if I wanted to draw something like, okay, let's just put a container in here, right? So let's say for value in, and then we have for loops as well, right? 10. Let's do, okay, we can do smaller values, 3, 2, 3, 1, 5, and 6, right? So these are the values that we're going to do. We're going to create a container for each value. We're going to set the height to be the value, and we're going to set the background to be, let's make it red so it's visible, and we're going to set the width to 3. Right, bam. That's an upside down diagram, okay? Maybe not the prettiest thing in the world though, right? Maybe we want a little bit of spacing in between these things, right? So we're going to set this thing to, actually we're going to change this thing to reset. All right, and then we change this to 1. All right. Manjaro? Is that you? Anyway, watching Google Maps from the Bing browser. What would we do for this thing? Okay, well, why don't we say that the height of this thing is 10? Right, let's give this thing some space. Okay, and then we're gonna put this as a V stack, and we're gonna put a spacer here, and oh shit. That was unexpected because I put the reset in the wrong place. There we go. Right, there's your bar chart. There's your bar. Okay. The thing is that you can do a lot with this stuff, right? You can do a lot. You can express this in like various different ways. There are obviously restrictions to this, but you don't need a block diagram something. But the thing is, you could if you wanted to, right? Let's go into the Rust code for a second, right? And let's say that we want to have, we're going to make a new template. We're going to call this thing graph.aml, right? And we're just going to move this in here. And we're going to load graph in here, right? Now, this is going to break the application because there is no such thing as a graph, right? No one has ever heard of a graph. But we can make that happen, right? So let's take this graph. Let's format this a little bit. Let's not be savages, right? And then we're just going to register the graph in here, right? Register component graph. We're going to use the graph AML component there, run it, and bam, there's our graph again, right? So now we have a graph component. We're going to register this thing not as a graph, but as a prototype. Not as a component, as a prototype, right? So now, if we wanted to, in our template, let's run this again now that it can run. Okay, so we have a graph here. We can put a horizontal stack here, and then we can have lots of graphs in there, right? Whoops. Hang on. I changed you to be a prototype. Did I not save? Maybe I didn't save. Oh no, I did the wrong one. Okay, so sorry. So sorry. Okay, screen 1, we don't care about you anymore. You're old hat, okay? There we go, right? Now we have multiple graphs in there, right? We don't want that many graphs. Take 2 of them out, right? Let's say that we want the graph to have a little bit more. Let's say the background, which is red, we're just gonna change this to color, right? I'm gonna spell it that way because I'm so inclined. Okay. All right. If I save this now, we have no color. We can't see anything. But why don't we give this a color through here, right? So color is gonna be red here. And blue here. Right? How easy is that? I use creatine, by the way. Me too. It's good for your brain, you know. I don't know about Endeavor. That might also be good for your brain. Can you specify a text formatter? Send values to... No, not yet. Actually, the password masking we could easily do, but the formatter is not done, right? There's no function calls yet. They are in the parser, but we don't have them implemented yet, right? So you will be able to specify function calls that will do things like rounding of decimals and things like that, right? Absolutely, but it's not in there yet, right? I finally have a recursion or complex formatted logic templates won't work for you, but you can add custom widgets, so maybe that helps. Can you show me an example of that as well? Like if you create an infinite loop, if inside my graph I try to include this one, right, this template, which is called index, right, then it's gonna crash because the index loads this graph and this graph loads index and the index loads this graph. Well, you see how it goes. So obviously you add infinite recursion if you try to include a template that is being included inside. You try to include the parent in the child, you're gonna have infinite recursion, and we don't allow that. So yeah, no, this is but this is now pretty decent. If I wanted to, I can also transfer a value from here, right? So you know we have the username here, right? If I call that fiddlesticks and I say that's the username, we can then refer to the username in here if we wanted to, right? So we just put fiddlesticks in here. Oh yeah, so sorry, fiddlesticks, and that has to be text. Obviously, I just made that up, right? So now if I type in here, it's gonna type at the top as well. Maybe I don't want fiddlesticks for my second one though, right? So we can actually just do away with this. And then there we go, right? Do you adhere to cargo format or do you have some custom rules? I have no formatting rules right now. Can you do conditional rendering? Yeah, sure you can. You can say if the username or if the password is equal to Bob, then do all this. Okay? B-O Bob. There you go. Another letter in the password is no longer equal to Bob. Gone, right? This is pretty decent at this point, given what you can already do with it, right? There's a lot of stuff that you can do with this, and we're only looking at the front end here, okay? Which is let's get rid of this thing, right? We're only looking at the front end. So the thing with this, right, is that I can now take this template and I can give my program to you with the template. And if you don't like anything in here, you can just change it, right? Right? It's too short. Right? You can just modify the template as you don't even have to do that. You can take a whole thing out, right? And basically do whatever, right? So you have full control over the layout and the look of your application, not just limited to a specific configuration format for that specific program, right? So people who aren't programmers, but who likes to tinker with the terminal stuff, that's for you. Of course, because the condition isn't a constant, right? The condition can change. Tinker is good. Yeah, I think it holds value, right? Because it means that you can ship your application to your users without them having to know the language you wrote it in, right? You don't need to know Rust. You don't need to know Go. The only thing you have to be able to do is to extrapolate what is actually inside the template, right? Well, that's a bad example, but yeah, I mean, what if you don't like any of these things, right? You could, well, I mean, you can do a lot. You know what I haven't tried to do, right? You know what I haven't tried to do? If we run this now, we're not going to build it. We're just going to run the release mode of this thing. All right, we don't have our release mode. Well, we run the debug one, right? Debug ROM. So I haven't recompiled this application. This is the application that someone else would be given, right? So let's just pop into a graph for a second. Not getting ignore graph. There we go, right? So we built this up. I wonder if we can do this. We are going to add a map here where we have a value and we're going to have a color, right? I'm going to spell color without the U now just to make some people happier than others, right? And we should be able to do this on multiple lines, I think. Okay. Maybe we can't. Maybe that's why it crashed on me. No. And then we're going to say that the value is going to be value and the background is going to be value dot color. It's not loving it. We should be able to do a map in there though. Can't have anything to do with this. Oh, ship. Yeah, look at that. That's v the value, right? Oh, no, I called it v, so yeah, I kind of omitted the whole thing there, didn't I? There we go, right? Although now we can't see anything. Look at that. Oops. Still not showing anything. v.value for the height, v.color. Am I missing anything? That's gonna be, we don't need that. This height can be 1. We're just resetting that one in between. We can take that out. But we're not getting the color. So you can more importantly is you can provide the data from Rust instead, right? So you probably want to get your data from somewhere else, maybe a chat API or the weather or whatever you want to do, right? But now I seem to have uncovered a bug, so I need to figure out why that is happening. We're going to make this thing as short as possible. Okay. So we have a value. Can we just put some text in here? Yes. And notice that this program is still running. So while we're changing this thing, the program is at least running, right? Can we do this? No, we cannot access the value in there. That is interesting. You should definitely be able to make maps like this and iterate over them. And it doesn't say fiddlesticks either, which is even more interesting. Oh, right. Of course. Now it's going to say fiddlesticks. Yeah, so we have 3 of these. Okay, right. I was being an idiot. Don't hold that against me. Don't record a macro. But why don't we get value is value? We don't get v.value. It's not about the keys not being strings. We can definitely have just a number like that. Yeah, v.color is not going to work either, I think. No. I don't know why this thing is not working. So I don't know exactly which monitor I have. I have a nice one. It's an LG 32-inch monitor with a decent monitor arm attached to it. Oh yeah, size was 32. Okay, it's 32. V in value. Wait, V in. Oh, but that's just a list, right? We're making a list in here, and this list contains maps, right? So that should be like a dictionary, and that should definitely be doable, right? So this works to express that, but why doesn't the dictionary work? That's a bug. That's a bug and a half, and it should definitely work with this thing. But okay, well, I just have to figure out that bug. So that's great. It's always when you're gonna show things, right? But yes. Anyway, there's obviously a lot of things to do here, but more importantly, we do have the AML template. We do have the callbacks, which aren't callbacks, done now, which is why we can write in two places at the same time, right? Should we try to debug that issue? That seems like such a boring issue. Let's have a look at how this is actually compiled then, right? So let's go to the, it's not going to be the parser statement, expression evaluation. No, it's not an expression either, is it? Is it an expression? Okay, let's see if there's a map expression in here. We got function calls. Again, we don't actually have these implemented. We can just parse them. You can do like mathematical statements and stuff like that, right? So you can add, you can do plus, minus, modulus, whatever, right? There's like a lot you can do. The only thing you can't do, right, is when you are on, when you can't have if statements inside your, because this is reactive, you can't have if statements inside your attributes. So if statements are part of the node tree, which is probably a little bit useless to say without any information, like with any explanation why that is, right? I have been using 12-inch 4K display because my table was small since we got a new table today, and 32-inch, everything looks like movie studio. Nice. Wow, you were working on 12-inch? That's oh, I cannot. Okay, so why are we not getting that? There was, is there a collection in here then? It seems like we're missing some things in here. Do we have list? We have list and we have map. Okay, so let's write a test for a collection to start with, list. So we just do 1, 2, 3. And now this should fail with a very different output. All right, I bungled things. Statement module. I have broken a lot of tests. What are you talking about? This is clearly a test. No, it's not. Yes, it is. All right, let's fix this test, all right? What is it that we need? We need a parent. That doesn't exist. No, it's the current component parent. Oh my god, cargo T. Okay, there we go. So we're back to having running tests again, expression evaluation. All right, so this thing is giving us a list of 1, 2, 3. So that thing is actually working, right? We've seen the list working, so we can just grab this thing. No. Come on. Grab inside. There we go. This is fine. However, and I think the map alone might be fine, but when the map is in a list, it fails. So here we should have A is 1 and B is 2. That's all we're going to care about here. Okay, other than the fact that the list... Okay, it's obviously not... it's not ordered. The list is not ordered, so this test will fail sometimes and not some other times, right? So you can see that it's actually passing now, but now it's failing, right? Because the order of things. But what happens when we wrap this in a list? And I think that's where things are going wrong. Yes, we are... No, that is a list, you ghoul. Ship. Yep, it's parsing the output correctly, but the order is always going to be wrong. However, if we do this, we can... This should be determined. This should be ordered. So this should always pass. Yeah. So all these tests are now fine. So it's not down to here where it's failing, which is sad because this is where things are easy to fix. Where things are not so easy to fix is when we're evaluating things. 100% yes, it is. All right. I haven't actually coded with a VR headset, but I've worn one for more than 40 minutes, and that was unpleasant enough. Okay, so it's parsing it correctly. It's going to be where we actually use it then. And this is going to take us to a very hairy place. No judgment. Okay. Let's see if there's any maps in here. Index lookup on list of lists. Okay, so an index lookup on a list of maps would probably be good enough. So we have numbers in a list. We don't want numbers. We want maps. And we're going to push a map. Then we have another list. No, this is the map. So we are going to have a template value named A that contains the list of maps. Exactly. Okay, we don't care about this part. So our expression is going to be A to get to the map, and then we're going to have another ident, unfortunately also named A. Why don't we just insert val here, and then this will be the list, right? So that's going to be list. Okay. And that's going to be the map. No, it's going to be the value. So list goes to the value, which will now give us 1. You need a vec of list of maps of lists. Yes, we need to really go deep with this. Oh, but at least we can do third-party components. I can tell Brookcircle now that we can start working on like the input. I'm gonna build an input widget because there's a lot of complexity around inputs. We have to try to chain these though. So you can build a widget around my widget and someone can use that in their widget, right? So we're kind of making a couple of steps to, so if you wrap my input and you wrap it in a border because you want to highlight the border when it's in focus, then my widget has to call text change on your widget, and then your widget has to call text change on my widget. But that shouldn't be a problem, right? But it would be interesting to see, right? Okay, so we've inserted a value of 1 into the list of things here. We're gonna insert that into our states. And then our expression, we're not subtracting anything here. I guess we could add, and we're gonna get 3. So we're gonna get the index. Well, this is boggling my mind a little. I have 2 indices here. The first one is looking at the list. Oh, that's what it is. Okay. num0. That's the first one. That's the first index call. The next one is looking at val inside of what this thing produces. And that's our second index. And then finally, we're going to add the number 2 to that. Wow, if that wasn't confusing, then I don't know what was. Use of, okay, so we can't use map yet. If this compiles, I'll be freaking ecstatic. Yeah, this is an error that people aren't going to enjoy. This is not going to be fun. No, that should be a value already. Yeah, so why can't we push that then? This is bullshit. This thing should wrap it in a value. And it does. Wingception. No, pushback wants a value. And a map is a value. This is a value of a map. So this shouldn't be a problem. Unless... No, that's a default implementation. So no, that's not an issue. Out of curiosity, can we do an insert at 0? Should have the same problem though, right? I think we could have done that. The trait list is implemented for value list. So we would be allowed to push a number in there. No. Wait. Oh my god, it's a list of lists. Oh. Jeepers peepers. Okay, it was a list of lists, right? Okay, excellent. So now we're getting somewhere. Okay. But so if this works, I'm going to be pretty happy. It does not work. No, I wouldn't think so. This is where something is going wrong, right? Where does the tea lead? To afternoon tea? I don't know. I think I'm missing context to that question. This thing has to be a U32. Not really relevant. This, however, is the issue. So this expression is going to add index and index. So first we're going to grab the first list. That's our first index. And then our second index is that list followed by this ident. And then we're doing an add operation where we add the value 2 to these two. And that's it. Yeah, value t means the value is generic over t. So t could be any value as long as it's sized, to be pedantic about it. Pedantic programmers, never. No, that doesn't exist. Rubbish. Okay, so what is it that is wrong with this value then? And I think maybe we can debug this from the application instead. That might actually be easier. So is this the template? Yes. Let's get rid of all the code in here. And the only thing we're going to do is say that we have let bindings. You cannot assign values, but you can create bindings, right? So you can say let x equals to, well, you can if you can find the equal sign, 1, 2, 3, and then text x, right? This is fine to do, although it doesn't actually seem to do anything. Oh, semicolon. It's not Rust. Come on, right? So you can do this if you want, right? But you couldn't say that x is now equal to 5 or 4, right? This does not work. That's not valid. Hello, Londo. Things are going really well until I ran into this horrible bug where I can't have a list of maps, right? So we're gonna do x.a. See, that works fine, right? A is this. But if I put this in a list, actually, this might work because this is const folding. Yeah, this works. This works because we can evaluate this at compile time of the template. So there is no evaluation of this expression when we run this code. This expression is evaluated when we compile this template. So the only thing that's going to happen here is that this thing is going to be replaced by this called const folding, right? Hello, Andres. How you going? Yeah, we have hot reloading now, right? So hot reloading is a big QOL improvement, right? Very nice. I'm very happy about that, but I'm not happy that I can't do... Can I do for y and x then, and then change this to y? No, it's going to be y.a. Yes, it breaks. Okay, so I shouldn't be excited about that, but this is the problem. So we can debug this now, okay? So this is gonna go someplace very gross, right, and very scary. So we're gonna hop into widgets, expressions, and start looking in here. This is where things are gonna go. It's enabled by default. Oh, the examples. Yes, I haven't included examples. 5 hours of stream, tired, nice. I bet you are. Open source work during the stream. Nice, good. Oh shit! I forgot the laundry. Hot damn. Yes, only components are hot reloadable, Londo. Sorry. So to get hot reloading, you all you do is say that your document just loads the initial component, and then any prototype or any component that you register is then gonna be hot loadable. She won't kill me. I will kill me because it's gonna smell so bad. Give me a couple of minutes. Hang on. Echo. Fail to husband. Trying to amend. Okay. What are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here either. Okay. All right. So, yeah. Okay. Problem solved. I should have upped the music there, shouldn't I? Man. Okay. So if you do laundry, and you're not aware of this because you're like, I don't know, 15, and you leave the laundry, then it starts to stink, and no one wants that. You get smelly laundry. Okay, let's see. So yeah, we're gonna debug this thing. This is failing to run. So we need to go to B19 and somewhere here. It's very quiet music. Mildew, mold. Forgotten. Yeah, I mean, like, it gets all manky. I mean, it doesn't rot because you can just wash it again, right? Okay, so let's see what happens here, right? Well, normally this isn't a problem, right? It's been very few occasions where I had to do laundry and stream at the same time, but now I had visitors that's been here, and obviously bed linen and towels and all that stuff. So this has built up quite a pile. So my visitor left 2 days ago, and I'm finally catching up with everything. My wife has been on a seminar with that guy she's just friends with, and like everything happened. Everything sort of happened. I had company left. Suddenly my wife left the seminar. The bunny died. It's just me and my kid. It's been so insanely chaotic. It's just like mind-blowingly shit is the expression. And I am just finally getting back on top of everything, right? First used when I was 20. A friend of mine was 35 when he asked me how do you use a washing machine, right? Wash your clothes by hand. Oh my god. Exactly. Okay, so let's have a look at the expression that we're resolving. What is this expression? It is a list. Okay, so we're gonna end up in here. Is that correct? No, I failed. Let's run this again. Oh, no, I didn't. So we're resolving the inside of this list. Right. So this expression should now be a map. It is a map. I'm pushing the wrong button. And then we have a string. Okay. Go. Get on with it. Okay. Okay, so here's our inner expression. This is probably resolving. Oh, really? Why don't we just print out what the inner value is then? And we do it in such a beautiful way. We're going to panic here. So we can just look at the panic output. We don't see the panic output because I am overriding all of this goodness. But here we should see it. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. Yes. Mildew, mold, whatever, right? So I don't know what the actual difference is between mildew and mold. And I'm not talking about the mold linker. It's a specific type of mold that appears as white or gray patches on surface high in moisture like shower walls. Mold that includes all species of fungi that grow in multicellular filaments and come in various colors like black, green, and red. Mildew is easy to clean with a household cleaner, while mold can be more invasive and harmful, requiring more effort to eliminate. Okay, there we go. Okay. Right. So here's our output. So the output is neither problem. So then we're going to go to... We're going to get rid of that. And we're going to go to the other... sorry. I'm so tired. I'm so tired and I feel like I have been emotionally punched in my bollocks for the last 48 hours. I am just done. I'm gonna sleep this weekend. And I want my life to feel normal again. I don't know what to do about that, D3. I am exhausted. Game doll. Oh shit, we've done that already. So we have to do another game doll, right? So we're not gonna do the classic one. We're gonna do maybe cover art. Artwork. Sorry, not cover art. What is this? So this is obviously going to be like two sides. Metroid. But which Metroid is this? No. Hyrule Warrior? No. No, wait. That's not Hyrule. That is... it was these colors that made me think of Metroid. This is Battle Chasers. Battle Chasers. Snap. This... What was it the... No, it can't be the Nintendo Switch. Maybe it was the Switch that I bought this game for. Apparently, this used to be a comic, and the cost of... the cost of this comic is insanely high now. Well, the game is from 2017. Battle Chasers was original comic, right? So Battle Chasers comic. And this comic is selling for like hundreds of dollars per... What do you call them? Episode? Volume? Image Comics, and then $3.99. Where did I read that? A cover price. So it's about this child and the child's glove. It's like a JRPG. The game doesn't actually have a lot of depth to it. It was a little bit boring. Comic book purchase. Yeah, no, I don't. I thought that these were like insanely expensive because they only made a handful of these. Okay, here you go. $275. First print. I don't know. Variant covers, but what's the... Oh, from eBay. Okay. So I don't know what this is, if this is the actual first print. Cliffhammer Image Comics. Okay, so wait, this isn't the actual comic then, right? Returns out 22. I don't know. So this is, I don't know if this is like just like the cover art or whatever. And I think for an actual comic, you're around here somewhere. A signed print. Maybe this isn't. I don't know. Anyway, the point is they're insanely expensive and the game didn't have a lot of depth. I think if you do like Battle Chasers gameplay, it was very linear. They got one on PS4. So it's turn-based. It looks all right and all. But, oh man, this does not show much. Okay, there you go. Now you have a battle. That's how it was, right? And there was like a limited number of battles, I think. I don't think you could run into... Oh yeah, that robot dude thing as well. That old man I don't remember, but that robot dude I remember. It just felt so linear, like you couldn't really like not succeed at the game. The graphics looks great. And in the beginning it was really fun, but it just after a while you kind of just felt like this game has zero replayability and there's nothing really going on in this game that's challenging or whatever, right? Yeah, maybe, right? Maybe. But, wow, I managed to talk a lot about this thing, but I recognized it in the end, right? It took a while. Oh, there you go. That's a great game. That's a great game. So I remember the first time I played Fast and Light, I was like, you know what? I would like this game, but just allow me to potter around in space. I think someone made a mod for that, and when I heard that, I was like, no, I don't actually want to play it like that. This was one of the games that I bought on the iPad. I think the first iPad mini was so good, right? The 7-inch screen format was so good. I played Fast and Light, Terraria on this thing. This was before games had become entirely shovelware and completely shit and, you know, pay to win and all that BS, right? There's a mod for it that gets rid of permadeath. Yeah, I think that's probably what I was thinking, right? It's a great game though, right? It's a great game. I never got into... Did you... D3, did you ever play Into the Breach? I think it's the same people. I never got into that though, right? iPad gamers. Yeah, I know, but I like the iPad was really good to game on when the iPad mini, when it was new, right? Because it was just not that many shit games on there compared to what it is today. Today, I don't play anymore. But you know what? I played Vampire Hunter. That was free to download. I played that on my phone. Yeah, I'm guessing if you've beaten FTL more than 3 times, which I haven't, I think I've beaten it like maybe once, then Into the Breach looks good. Okay, so we're getting a we're gonna get this as a collection to evaluate. So we'll probably end up with, let's have a look at what we get here, right? What's our value? It's an expression list, that is correct. And that becomes a static list. So our collection is now a static list. Correct. And here's the expression to rebuild that list, but we don't need that. Okay. Then let's go to evaluating for loops. So we're definitely going to have to hop around a little bit here. So we're looking for eval. And we're looking for loops. So this is what happens when you evaluate the for loop. I don't know what this count returns, but it has clearly returned some things. The 0 scope push. We're going to scope the value index to the current scope. That's the iteration I did. That's not relevant to us. Actually, I think scoping the value is relevant to us. That is what is relevant to us. So let's pop in there. So self.binding should be y. And it's y, because that's what we named this thing, right? If we go back into the template, we can see we're binding this to y. So y should represent a value in there, right? Have I played Barbase? No, that doesn't interest me that much. It seemed like something that I might enjoy, But I haven't really played games in a long time. I used to play with Danaka, and I played once or twice with Temporis as well, but I don't really play a lot of games anymore. I mean, this T-shirt is from when I used to play games, right? That's how old it is. No, but I just don't play a lot of games. I spend all my free time either here with you guys or just coding on this stuff in silence somewhere, right? So there's not a lot of gaming. Or I'm failing at husbanding. Not husbandry, husbanding, right? So we're going to scope this collection to this binding with this index of 0 to this scope, right? So let's just get in there. Whoops. Okay, so what is self here? Self is a collection. It's a static collection. Oh, Nelly. Why would we downgrade this thing? Actually, no, downgrading this is fine. Let's have a look at what we've managed to downgrade here. So downgrade is happening. It's a hash map, right? It's a map. Downgrading is happening because we are taking the... We're taking the value that might contain value references and saying we're going to downgrade this thing so it can become values again. Oh, excuse me, sorry. But for it to become a value again, we have to feed it a owner, right? Something that's going to subscribe to it. So they can exist as downgraded values, but you can never really get anything out of the downgraded value until you take ownership of the reference, which is a weird thing to say. So then we're going to do scope downgrade, this binding, and this downgrade. This looks very much like we're looking at a hash map. So if we were to panic at this point, actually, we could just panic the message in here. I don't know why I'm trying to do this as 2, right? So downgrade. Let's chuck an octothorpe in there for good measure. And let's run this code again, right? All right, so we have a map with a value A that contains a string. And as far as our template is concerned, that is what we're doing, right? We're referring to y.a. But somewhere we're losing this information, right? We're not seeing anything here. So scope downgrade, which holds... Let's make sure that the binding is y. It is y. Our downgrade value should then contain the hash map. It does. And then we insert that entry. So maybe this comes from when we try to look this up, right? So let's go back to our expressions, which is on 19. What's the best game in according to you guys this year, right? What's been the best game so far? Okay, so we're looking for an ident that has the value of y. Whoops. All right, let's rerun that again. Good games don't come out once a year. They come out once a decade. That might be. So I'm not really missing out then. Is that what you're saying? By not gaming, I'm not missing out on anything. I'm only going to start missing out if I... What was like this decade's good games then, right? Okay, so we're looking up y here. That is correct. But that seemed to have failed a little bit. So when we're calling scope get here, we're not getting it, are we? That was weird. I don't know where I ended up. Inner get. Okay, yeah, that looks fine. Oh, I can see this. Terminal escape. What is that? Game B. Roblox terminal escape room answers. I don't, and I have so much stuff turned off here then. Hey, there you go. I like this. No docs, no tutorial, no escape. All right, that's my jam. Inspired by a bad day with a packet manager. That is funny. I wish that this thing was actually working. Oh, static. I read stats. Have I seen this maybe? I wonder if I've seen this. No, I have not seen this. 3 user reviews. It's not expensive, but playing this on stream we wouldn't even have to change category, right? I just have to get back when I wake up in the morning and I'm not close to crying. That's when I can do the video. I have some things to do with other people first as well, but then I'll do the video, right? I was gonna work on it today, but I just felt so miserable when I woke up. I was like, no, I can't. It's one thing to stream, like you're just a human when you're streaming, right? But when you're making a video, then you have to sit there and be like, hi, how's everything going? I hope you guys are fantastic. Today we're gonna talk about this bullshit that nobody cares about, and it's gonna be amazing. Please like and subscribe, blah, 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 blah. Right? And I can't really be like that when all I'm thinking is that I held my dying bunny in my arms the other day and then I cried. And then I don't want to think about that, but that's what happens, right? It's like Rust, but in a game, exactly, right? It even got dependency management. Oh my god, that's great. That is something, right? No, we're not doing that. That is gross bean juice. That is gross. His performance, but part of the video is showing. I'm showing the Python has more performance than Rust only, guys. A part of the video. All right. Okay. Anyway, there's context in the video that's gonna make sense. No, I mean I want to continue the tone that I started, right? This is true. You didn't say Rust performance. I want to continue in the tone and the vibe that I've started making videos. And for that to work, I just can't be a miserable twat. It just doesn't hold water. With the miserable. Never mind then. Okay, so for some reason we're in here. We got some offset. Are we breaking out with this? Okay, so we are breaking out with a downgraded value, right? Okay, so we actually found the value here. No, hang on to your sneakers. Lookup is Y. I already have a second channel, but I'm just streaming to that one, right? Watching you be miserable is half the fun. Yeah, but there's a difference between being miserable and sad, right? Like, it might be funny to watch someone struggle with something and like raging or whatever, right? But watching someone who's sad, no one wants to see that, right? But like, you know, every 5 minutes I'm playing a video in my head where I'm holding my bunny as it's dying. And I keep asking myself, like, was there something I could have done? Could I have done something different? Should I become a vet? Right? I can't travel back in time. I was peeling apples this morning, and every time I did that, the bunny used to come down the stairs, stick his head out between like the railings, and wait for me to give it a piece of the apple peel. I was peeling apples this morning, and there was no one there looking at me wanting apples. And do you guys want to watch a video with that? Someone's about to cry. A grown person's about to cry because the fucking bunny is dead. No, I don't think that makes for good content. I think that makes for really depressing shit content. Exactly. Don't be sad, you miserable twat. Being sad is bullshit content. You are allowed to be sad, but don't be sad on video, right? No one wants to see your little pity party, okay? That's not why people watch content. But until I can get out of my head, that's kind of what I wake up to, right? Maybe you can grow bunny-shaped flowers instead. Never been a huge fan of the Bitstream Vera Mono family. Oh yeah, I like the hack font. I just saw this in some kind of Solus install or whatever. I was like, wow, I really like that font. And it really was good, right? No, I get you, Gandalf. It's all good. No, but the thing is, you can and should be sad in life. Sad things happens. Friends, family, pet dies. You get bills. You have to pay taxes. You stub your toe, whatever it is. Be sad. But don't fucking go out and be sad on a video, okay? And don't be like, I'm gonna leave YouTube now. I'm sad because I don't want to do it. And then 5 minutes later, no, actually, I'm not gonna leave YouTube. And also, I wasn't sad for realsies, okay? You know who I'm talking about, right? No, I don't be like, oh, poor me, this thing. No, man, like, I can share with you guys that my bunny died. It makes me sad, but I'm not gonna get into like a 10-minute long video about this, right? Fuck do you care if my bunny died or not, okay? It's fine. I mean, you didn't spend 7 years with that bastard. I did. You're not gonna have any emotional connections to it, right? So you don't wanna see that. And I don't wanna make a video with that either, right? When is the next Rust stream where you write cold while sobbing and snotting? That ain't gonna happen. And then the new Epic Store for iOS announcement. I have no idea, Dorian. So do you have like a link to an article or something? Did you guys know that we have a subreddit? Did you know this? We have a subreddit. We had a subreddit for a long time. Okay. Maybe you guys should dump links in there. But no, I'm not doing reaction content before you guys jump down that route. But, you know. Shouldn't you have a... No, it's only Temporis that uses Lemmy. Exactly. Whatever the Rust Reddit alternative. I don't know, wouldn't that be like Lobster RS though? Oh no, that's like the Hacker News alternative, isn't it? It's breaking news. I don't read news though, right? Epic iOS. Does anyone care? Okay, let's see if we can find something. Tim Sweeney accuses Apple of malicious compliance as Fortnite finally returns iOS, but only in Europe and with... Is this it? Wait, but this isn't an Epic Store. Does Epic care about us? If you pay them money, they care about you paying them money. Did people genuinely formulate their thoughts as, does a large faceless corporation care about me as an individual? Surely people do not do that. I mean, there might be some poor sod in the corner of Epic, in the laundry room of Epic, because like, I really care about the players. I really feel for them. Well, best get back to doing the laundry, right? But the corporation itself is not going to care about you. If it can get you to part with your money, yes. If not, then no, right? You can download the store on our ISO to download games. iOS, they won their fight against Apple. But it seems like that was only in Europe, according to some nonsense I didn't quite read. Epic Store on iOS. All right. TechCrunch. Epic Games, the maker of Fortnite, announced on Friday that it has officially launched its rival iOS App Store. What do you mean its rival iOS App Store? Okay, in the European Union, right, or as we call it, Europe. But the Epic Games Store is also launching an Android worldwide. No, on Android worldwide. The App Store is launching with games including Fortnite, Rocket League, Sideswipe, and Fall Guys. Does anyone still play that? The company says it's working on developers to launch their games on the Epic Game Store in the future. Great, so you can get it through 2 stores now. Epic Games is also bringing its games to independent mobile store Alt Store Pal, which announced yesterday that its App Store would be available for free thanks to a grant from Epic Games. In the future, Epic Games plans to bring its games to Aptoid's iOS store in the EU and one store on Android, the company said. Fortnite returns to iOS comes over 4 years after Apple first removed the game from its App Store. It returns follows years of legal battles between 2 companies, in addition to regulatory changes brought by European Union's Digital Markets Act, which is forcing Apple to open up to new rivals. Oh my god. The tide is turning and the mobile ecosystem is finally opening up to competition. Said Epic Games CEO Tim Sweeney, who does not sound like a serial killer. In a statement, we are grateful to the European Commission for making it possible to launch the Epic Games Store and offer our games to iOS users in the European Union. Now, European iOS users and all Android users can access our games, our store and games. Now they can give us money through many different means, as they've always been able to do on open platforms like PC and Mac. The fight is far from over, but it's tangible progress for developers and consumers who can begin to benefit from competition and choice. The company has published videos to guide users through the steps they have taken to install the Epic Games Store on iOS and Android. Yes, if you need to watch an how-to video on how to install a store on your phone, you are definitely going to be one of them to do it, right? Epic Games says that for now, the process of installing the Epic Games Store on iOS and Android is lengthy due to Apple and Google introducing intentionally poor quality install experience laden by multiple steps, confusing device settings, and scare screens. Oh, did you think that they were just going to be like, yeah, just do it. One click install. You know what we can do? We can ship our phones with your app store built into it. Would you like that? We can do that. And Tim's like, and then Apple's like, the launch of the Epic Games Store marks the first time Apple is having to face a notable rival looking to challenge its App Store dominance. This is definitely not going to hamper installations, though, is it? Oh, that was it? Bye. Now, that was boring. I'm sorry. You want bad when you wake up and reach down to pet a cat that you can feel curl up by your legs, the same spot they slept every night in entire lives, and you remember that they've been gone for 5 years and there's nobody there. It's not a competition, you asshole. But that is really sad. Yeah, but it is that, right? It is sad. But it's getting better by the day, right? I've lost a bunny in the past, right? And it takes a while, and you get over it, right? You get over it, right? You need to look, dude. You can also move on, right? Mr. End of the Sea, how'd it go? Amazing, Walrus. I nailed it, right? Björn himself was like, "Holy, does this guy know what he's doing?" And people even congratulated me on how not idiomatic C++ my C++ code looked. Hello, Booty. Oh, I guess a lot of things. How you doing? I should keep submitting epic APKs to Google Android malware reporting service. Yes. It's a big deal as Apple takes 30% of all purchases, but this way they no longer have to pay Apple. Hopefully prices go down. My God. Sorry. What makes you think that's going to happen? If they've already convinced people to pay the price, they're not going to lower the price unless that's proven to increase sales, right? No. It's a big deal. Yeah, Apple takes 30% for you to sell your crap on their platform, and they don't care who you are, and they don't want people to set up their own stores that takes 30% to sell someone else's crap on their platform. Why would they want that? None of this is for the benefit of the consumer, right? So you're gonna have a horrible app store that features an internal horrible app store that you have to go through. It's all horrible. I love you all. Don't worry about it. I think it's near term. In the near term, it will lower prices. No. They might actually crank up the prices to cover their cost of getting their app store on there, right? In the same way, to improve quality of service, we have made a slight price increase to be able to deliver the service you expect from us at the quality that you've come to love and expect from us. Have you heard that bullshit before? And then like, yeah, but you shit. And now I'm paying 10 euros more. I'm paying for you to stay shit. But I have no choice. Monopoly! Have you made a Python library written in Rust? Do you know if I need to write the library in Rust and have APIs and unsafe C on top of that? Just use Pio3, right? Pio3. For Twitter, you subscribe to Twitter, you pay $11 online, you pay $8. Do you guys pay for Twitter? What is this? Is this why people like pay money to go and see a dominatrix, right? But instead of dominatrix, you just get like an endless stream of people telling you that you're shit, and their messages are completely reductive and meaningless because there is no substance to them, right? I think I've wrote a tweet once. Nobody cared. There shouldn't be games on phones anyway. They're phones that make phone calls and text. Why do we need apps for 6-inch slabs of glass? Well, I would join you in yelling at the clouds, but I actually think the phone games were really fun in the past, right? There are probably lots of really good games, but they are completely drenched in the shit that is there now. So no one gets to the good games, right? It's horrible all the way down. Here. It's kind of weird how we're at the point of not owning anything and only have a license. Because people keep giving them money. Damn it! Okay, fine. We're gonna go and find this crate now. Rust, Python, crate. It's there. Why don't you exist then? Cease your non-existence. Yes. So this crate is supposed to make it easy for you to interact with Python, right? You can go and look at examples. And there's probably something like a simple word count. There you go, right? And then... What's Nox? Nox didn't exist when I was young. Is that all the Python code we get? No. So this is gonna be your Py code. It's not real, but it can hurt you. Too right. Oh, no, hang on. It's probably this, right? Yeah, there you go. Okay, this was significantly simpler. Back when I did this, there was a Rust FFI examples, and this was like from 2017 or whatever. Yeah, 6 years ago is when I looked at this. And you had to do all the beautiful stuff here, right? This one I remember. Fuck off. This part I remember. You have to load the library, and then in your Rust code, you're going to have a bunch of external functions. Well, a bunch, I said, but you have one external function that does this, right? So this is where I learned about Rust and FFI. This was from a post somewhere as well. But no one uses that anymore. You can do Python, you're going to do this, which is significantly simpler, right? So there you go. Hopefully that answers your question. And hopefully you feel like I've addressed your comment as well. Dorizano. No, that's not it. It's Dorian. Dorian Zo1. All right. Okay, okay. There is a chance I'm going to fail to husband again, right? So I got to keep an eye on this thing because I'm supposed to go and pick my wife up, right? All tickety boo. Okay, so we end up with this value, and where do we go from here with this find value, right? This is the wrong value. Is it? No, it isn't. So this is giving us the map. Okay, so the map is the left-hand side. Ah, here we go. Now, this is where the bug... I knew... I didn't know this. I knew that the bug was here. I didn't know that. Chic. This is not good. Anti-bueno. So why is this thing... It's an expression map. Oh god, I do not love this. Can the expression be a list? It can be a list, it can be a map. But then it can be a map again. What in the name of Harry Jane's globe is going on here? This is clearly wrong. Oh my god. Great pickup wife. Is that like a car that is also your girlfriend? Or is that like how you get a wife? I'm not entirely sure where pickup wife would sort of fit into the whole thing though, right? I know that I'm not allowed to pick up anyone else's wife though. That was very clear on that from both parties. But yeah, okay. Okay, yeah, D3, I think we reached the 4-hour stage at this point. A car that is your girlfriend, it's a pickup, and it's a wife as well. Knight Rider 2000 fanfic, I'd love that. Polyamorous. Hang on, that is a really good name for a crate though, right? I think a crate that can interop with other languages would be called that. Don't you think that? That's a wonderful crate name. You have one, you don't get another. No, they are like mutability. Okay. This is what wives and mutability is like when you look at Rust, okay? To have a wife is to have a mutable reference to someone, and two people are not allowed to have the same mutable reference. But then arguably you could have two mutable references to two different wives. No, we're getting polyamorous again. Don't give the cat girls ideas. Does the wife have a static lifetime? As far as I'm concerned, I think she will definitely outlive me. She's a lot more sensible than I am in many ways. I've been so trash with my diet and sleep and everything the last couple of days. I went to the gym and I was there for about 25 minutes, and it's like dead bunny, dead bunny, dead bunny, dead bunny. I'm going home now. Anyway. Okay, so when we resolve this thing, we get the map out. That can't be right. So this would like definitely not work if we have a map inside a map. This bug is a lot bigger than I thought it was. This bug is super gross. And this bug is really... what should we do? What did you say? Okay. By the left or in the city. Either is, of course, fine. Okay, so the left-hand side can be a value. So the left-hand side is not resolved yet. So we have to resolve the left-hand side, and then the left-hand side becomes the map expression. So I don't know how I'm gonna do this. We can't resolve it up here because it might already be. Actually, I guess what we could try here. I think the left-hand side is an ident at this point. Okay, we'll just do that. No, I didn't want to do that. Okay. Right. Resolve. What is the function called? Lookup is what it's called, right? Self-resolve. There we go. Yeah, there's no other editor out there, right, Smathy? If anyone tells you otherwise, they just want to show you what a skill issue they have. How are you doing today, Smathy? Are you having a good day? Enjoying your Friday? How did that happen? Neovim, yeah. Why don't you have a standing desk now? I do. It's right next to me. I don't have in a standing position. I part of me kind of want to show you guys my terrible setup. Maybe I do, right? Hang on. Let me just grab another camera because I have many. Shit! Where's the other camera? There you are. Let me grab you. The streamer's delight. The best camera that you will ever see, right? The C920. It is so shit. But I'm going to show you, if I can, plug this in. And give you a very boring touring. Wait, that doesn't make any sense. Of what we actually have here. Okay, so let's go and add another camera, not pipe wire, thank you. There we go. Okay, now since I can't see anything because I am very blind, all right, there you are. Let's just turn that off, pop it out, as you do. Okay, this, well, that's a clamp and a glass. Okay, and show you there. Okay, well, that just stopped working. Aren't you beautiful? Okay, you wanna, is that how you're gonna play it? USB reset, and we're looking for that gross camera now. There you go, 514. Come back to me, camera. Pfft, rubbish. No. See if that works then. There you can see, this is a close-up of a remote control. Look how much dust there is in that one. All right, so this is me. Hi. All right. And then here we have a camera. There's a picture of the Arch logo that my kid drew. And some keyboards. Clearly can't wear the headphones while I'm doing this. Are you getting dizzy yet? Right? All right. So that's a standing desk right there. That's my setup. There's a big light up there. Standing desk. Here's my desk with my keyboard and all my crap. All right, that's where I do the video thing. And then here is the setup of the background, and that's part of my head, right? You probably can't hear much of this thing, right? So that's my setup. This is a standing desk. But because of how everything is mounted, I can't raise it because it would destroy the universe as we know it. There we go, right? Now you've seen my beautiful setup. Yes, there we go. Can you show us your ceiling? Well, it looks the same as the walls, basically. What cable is this? Wait, how did this happen? I'm currently debugging something, Smithy. I'm debugging the resolution of values in a template language that I've written, and this is, we're supposed to go through this for loop, and y is supposed to map to a value in here, but it doesn't. We have seen the inside of the cage and now watching animals in it. Exactly, right? Whoops. As an expensive setup, it's a setup I've built over the years, though, right? So I have quite decent camera gear and glass. The lights aren't too expensive. There are Godox SR300 and SR150, but most of the stuff that I have has been either from my photography days or gifted to me. Like the big oak desk I'm sitting at was a gift. Someone was gonna chuck it, and I'm like, no, I'll take it. Now, yeah, I'd imagine you don't know this language though, either, but because we made this, but it's not a programming language. You're talking about Rust still. It's all good. The question is, what are we gonna do here, right? Time to learn, indeed, right? You go and read the book. The book is the way to go. So in this case, right? Let's go. Maybe we'll. Okay, I can't resize this thing. Oh, Tmux. Okay, you sneak. Let's do that then, right? Okay, so let's go in here and let's look at what the. What's the LHS here, right? It's an expression. Okay, can you dereference the expression? Okay, so we have to dereference the reference. It's an ident. Okay, so we could look at this. If it is an ident, we could resolve the ident, right? So we do list and map and ident. It kind of makes some kind of gross sense. So if it is an ident, then we kind of have to do this, don't we? But could we? Maybe we can just do that, right? Maybe we can ask if LHS is an ident, right? So if let expression ident whatever, we don't care, is equal to LHS, then we're gonna do something. Are we allowed to do this? We could, if we do that. What? No. Aren't you a box? Oh, right. Double deref. There we go. So if this is the case, then we're going to resolve the left-hand side. I don't know if we need to resolve the left-hand side otherwise. Right? So we can just do that. Oh, you harpy. We can't do that. I guess we can match on this. I have the key set up so right, but I can never learn, okay? Let left-hand side equal. Do I have to move you? Is that what you're saying? No, this isn't right. This can't work. Because it's going to be different things. We can't do that. Could we maybe do that? What do you want? You want a reference? How do we move a line up like that without using m-3? I like up and down like this? No, that can't be the right question. The cable runs with, oh, most of the cables you see are just the XLR cables and stuff. There are, the power case. I wanted to put this in the ceiling, but my wife suggested that I don't do that. And her suggestions has to be listened to. I know 15, 16 programming languages. Which programming language do you actually know the best? So I'd say that it takes you probably about 5-10 years to get to grips with a lot of programming languages. So I'd say 15, 16 programming. That should put you in like the age bracket of like 70, 80 years old, maybe. All right. If we don't say 15, 16 programming languages at like expert level. Node.js and C, gotcha. You're 16. Okay, Smathy. I'm gonna politely tell you that no one is gonna believe that a 16-year-old knows 15 to 16 programming languages, right? That is because it takes you. I mean, you can get to grips with a programming language in a year, right? But to be actually productive at a professional level with a language, you probably need somewhere like you're gonna be qualified as a junior developer when like your first year or two with a language, and then mid-level you probably stay there for a couple of years as well, right? So to be like a senior or to be good at programming languages, you're gonna need at least like five years, something like that. But now the thing is, Smathy, I understand your thinking. Now, you're not the first young person that I have encountered on the stream. Young people don't exist because millennials aren't having kids. Okay, I think 16 is young, D3. Oh, hell's bells, Octave. I can't let that word through. I know you don't mean any ill by it, but I can't let that word go through. Sorry, but you don't have any commercial experience when you're 10 years old, Smathy. That just no one is gonna buy that, right? But the thing is, I started programming when I was very young, so I get you. But I certainly wouldn't have called myself a programmer when I was the age that I started programming in, right? I think I could start calling myself a programmer somewhere around the age you are now. And then I've been programming for quite a few years at that point, right? Parents will get Gen X. Wait, young people don't exist. Their parents will get Gen X. No, we're Gen X, fool. What are you on about? And they're like their third kid. What? No, we don't have to shame. We don't have to shame, right? I have underwear older than that. I'm wearing underwear older than that, right? Okay. You should check the projects I made. Even try to make a programming night. Show me. Link to it, Smathy. All right. And I will not brutally roast you, right? I don't do that unless people specifically ask for it. But link to our website. And I've been doing web development for longer than you've been alive. Okay, but go for it, right? Generation X this is like the I don't know. People just took the Copeland thing and ran with it, right? Our goal? Did you ask ChatGPT to write this for you, Smathy? You're not the only... Okay, I wasn't seeing like a contribution list or a contributor list or anything here. Let's have a look at the Alexa. Let's see what the Alexa looks like. Okay. So what kind of parser is this, though? Yeah. You know, I kind of recognize that. Okay. It wasn't... it was a lot of words, but very little substance, which made me think GPT. I have to go, people. I have to go and pick up my wife, or she's gonna be upset. But so it's an interpreted language, right? If it's an interpreted language, then you're gonna lose performance on that. Oh man, I'd love to. The thing is, I would not be interested in being a big meanie. Okay, you should not take to heart if people roast you a little bit, Smathy, right? Because when you say that you know like 15, 16 programming languages, and like you're probably like one of the youngest people in the chat, right? And all the old salty dinosaurs, they're gonna be like, "Oh no, you don't," right? But no, keep programming. It's good, man. It's good. But listen, I want to pick up the conversation at some point, Smathy, right? Right now, I have to go and do husbandry things again, right? So we're gonna. Are you streaming, scientist? You have like 1 minute to go and get set up, right? Who's streaming? Who should we do a quick raid to? Cakes. Okay, let's raid Cakes. It's all good. Rupsy doodles. All right, I have to go. I'm sorry. It would be cool to chat more with you people. I will be back maybe tomorrow. We'll see how I feel. You guys are wonderful. Thank you for hanging out. I will be back when I'm back. All right, bye for now.